60 million years ago, a giant snake terrorized what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. Hi, everyone. This is your host, Malcolm Walker, on Wild But True, and today we are going to talk about Titanoboa. Titanoboa was a giant snake that lived in what is now the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Now, this was during the age of the dinosaurs. However, it was not a dinosaur. Snakes are reptiles and dinosaurs were archosaurs. Today, there are many different kinds of archosaurs alive, including crocodiles and birds. Back then, all of the archosaurs were terrible lizards. Now, the Yucatan Peninsula was once covered in a tropical rainforest, but today, much of it is desert. So it's hard to imagine what it looked like 60 million years ago. But this ancient rainforest was home to Titanoboa. The first fossils of this giant serpent were discovered in 1978, and since then more have been found. These fossils tell us that Titanoboa was one of the largest land predators that ever lived. How big, you asked? Well, this snake could reach lengths of 42 feet and weighed over a ton. That's bigger than any predator that lives in the Yucatan today, including the American crocodile. And don't forget, crocodiles can grow pretty big. The largest crocodile that ever lived, the largest crocodile today, the saltwater crocodile, can reach lengths of 23 feet. To put Titanoboa's size into perspective, you could fit 4 of these enormous crocodiles inside of one of those 42-foot-long Titanoboa. So what did Titanoboa eat? Well, because it was so large, it could eat almost anything. It likely preyed on other large reptiles, including crocodiles. Imagine being a small crocodile minding your own business. Swimming around in the shallow water, looking for fish to eat, when suddenly a giant snake swallows you whole? That's what life was like if you were a reptile 60 million years ago. It also likely ate large mammals and even other giant snakes. We know that Titanoboa ate other giant snakes because they have stomach stones. These are stones that they swallow to help with digestion. And these stones were likely used to crack the skulls of smaller snakes. Now, how do we know that Titanoboa was such a ferocious predator? It had teeth, and not just any teeth, serrated teeth, just like a crocodile or a shark. These would have been great for crushing bone. Its jaws could exert a bite force of over 1,000 pounds per square inch. And don't forget, this snake was over 40 feet long. So, that's a lot of powerful jaws working to crush its prey. Titanoboa went extinct around 60 million years ago, but we don't know exactly why. It could be that there was a mass extinction that wiped out not only Titanoboa, but all of the other large animals that it preyed on. Maybe there was a sudden change in climate that killed off all of the giant reptiles. Whatever the reason, Titanoboa is not the only giant snake that has ever lived. There are others throughout history that rival this behemoth. One of the most famous is Gigantophis garstine. It lived in North Africa about 40 million years ago and reached lengths of 55 feet. That's the size of a school bus. Another giant snake is the Titan python. This snake also reached lengths of about 55 feet and lived in South America about 60 million years ago. But it wasn't just the length of these snakes that was impressive. They were also really thick. The Titan python was about 4 feet in diameter, while the Titanoboa was about 3 feet in diameter. That's the size of a doorway. So what would a giant snake like this eat? Well, it likely ate large mammals and other giant snakes. It could go either way. But let's be honest, who wouldn't want to eat a giant snake? Please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an exciting episode. I'll see you next time.